I was born on a stone's throw away from the national border between the Netherlands and Germany, in a street that is called Op de Grensberg, what can be translated as on Border Hill. I grew up in the Borderland, a stroke of land on both sides of the border that is shaped and influenced by the nearness of the border. And that nearness always made me curious. It felt and it still feels different when being on the other side. A different landscape, different people, different music, different traffic signs. Nowadays, as a PhD candidate working for Fontys Crossing Borders and Radboud University, I'm concerned with cross-border cooperation on a daily basis. And due to all this, I'm able to get around on both sides. I am a Borderlander. Here in Venlo, we are very close to the national border, as you may all know. But what do you know about the other side? Do you know, for example, the Landschaftspark Noord? And do you know which party has won the elections in the federal state North Rhine-Westphalia in May this year? And would you apply for a job in Germany? Or should I ask, are you able to apply for a job in Germany? The problem is that we don't know our neighbors anymore. Our parents, they spontaneously learned the German culture and the German language, for example, by watching television. Die Sendung mit der Maus. A circle of 50 kilometers, approximately, was the demarcation of their daily urban system. All the focus was on the own region. But nowadays, fewer people speak German. At primary school, we learn about Frisia and Zealand, but nothing about the Lower Rhine area, for example. Niederrhein. As a consequence, that people regard the border as the end of the country, as a barrier, as an unknown area. It is of utmost importance that the German awareness will raise again in the near future. And therefore, my idea is that everyone should get a chance to become a Borderlander. A Borderlander is someone who is able to get around on both sides of the border, who is able to make opportunities of both sides of the border. Someone who sees and perceives the border as a beginning, as a chance, or even as a blessing. Someone who celebrates and exploits the border as a unique selling point. I became a Borderlander by coincidence, and I've experienced the advantages of being one. I know many interesting sites and landmarks in the borderland. And as a Borderlander, I'm able to both visit the Bundesliga and the Eredivisie. I can buy a house in Germany since I know how the housing market works on the other side. I'm familiar with their culture, including the business culture, and I speak their language, the German language. And for that reason, I have more opportunities within an hour's drive, job opportunities within an hour's drive. So considering the border as a chance gives me a unique selling proposition compared to other people who close their eyes for the other side of the border. A situation arises of 1 + 1 is 3. But before I further explain why it is so important to become a Borderlander and why we don't need to move to the Randstad, for example, to become successful, let me first check how many Borderlanders are here today in the audience. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Who has ever been shopping in Germany? Please raise your hands. Okay, most of you. And who of you has ever been working in Germany? Well, a little less. And my last question is, who of you has ever been living in Germany? Only a few. Well, obviously, I'm not that surprised by that few people raise their hands, since only 0.12% of all the employees in the Netherlands is working in Germany, and 0.11% the other way around. That's almost nothing, and I think that's strikingly, since we have already had open internal European borders for many, many decades. But the question remains, why is it so important to become a Borderlander? Well, first of all, for the regional interest. Demographics are changing. Fewer young people live in this region, and it is expected that in 2040, in all the regional municipalities, the number of young people will be decreased enormously, with an average of minus 25%. But an interesting question is, why are they leaving? Well, because they are not Borderlanders. They are not able to make use of all the opportunities around them. They only use half of the potential, 50%, or what scientifically is called the half-moon syndrome. And for that reason, we should make opportunities visible and accessible. So not only for the regional interest, but also for the personal interest. And if we do nothing, this region will become a deserted place, a place where people will leave. And if people leave, facilities leave as well, like supermarkets, hospitals, sports clubs, etc. According to scientific numbers, it is very, very difficult to attract new people to the region, since 93% stays within the region when they are moving, so buying a new house, for example. The only mobile group of people, the other remaining 7%, are the students and the graduates. But they are in particular leaving this region at the moment. So for that reason, it is very, very important that we change the half moon into a full moon, so that it becomes attractive to stay here, so that we create a unique selling proposition for people here in the border region. And there are opportunities in this border region. This map shows how many jobs are accessible within an hour's drive. The redder the color, the more jobs are accessible. If we only take national jobs into account, this region is not the most attractive one in the Netherlands, as you can see. But if we do take foreign jobs into account, both in Belgium as well as in Germany, especially from this region around Venlo, there are more jobs available than from many cities in the Randstad and other border regions along the Dutch-German border. So why moving to the Randstad? Here you have more jobs, cheaper houses, more open space around. This is the place to be. Unreal? Well, I think the only condition is that the region raises enough Borderlanders. Moreover, there are so many other reasons to change the perspective to Germany, not only for the regional or the personal interest, but as well for the national interest. Think about the intensive trade relations between both countries, especially between the Netherlands and North Rhine-Westphalia. The second intensive trade relation in the world, after the trade connections between the United States of America and Canada. And not to forget the importance of language. A German business partner, when we are talking about trade, still appreciates and prefers it when a business partner speaks the German language. So it will be a disaster if less and less people learn to speak German at school. Or as the Austrian-British philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein once said, "Die Grenzen meiner Sprache bedeuten die Grenzen meiner Welt." The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. But the question remains, how can we motivate people to become Borderlanders? How can we raise the awareness? Well, I advocate to exploit the border as a central concept in education. A continuous educational program starting at primary school will definitely change the perspective. Bring children into contact with German children. Let them play, discover, and learn together. The border as a unique selling proposition for our region, as an important tool in the 21st century to connect different cultures. Pay attention to our own region in courses as geography, history, and cultural education, and bring students, for example, together through sports. Or another example, organize cross-border excursions and cross-border internships, as we do, for example, at the Fontys University of Applied Sciences. Give young professionals a unique selling proposition by enabling them to find a job on both sides. And in each initiative, an educational institution should ask themselves the question, Does it have any added value for the future of our children to involve our neighbors? And finally, I would like to make a call to you. Do you have children or grandchildren? Then go with them on a discovery tour in Germany. Celebrate the border. Viel Spaß!